What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. Today we got Troy, and we also have another special guest, Buck. Buck, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Not bad, Troy.
Mr. Buck Mallory. Do you even know who Buck Mallory is, Kyle? This guy's a big deal.
That's kind of you're kind of putting me on the spot there,
I'm
Troy.
telling you, man.
You're kind of putting me on the spot.
He won a couple big tournaments recently, and I think he's going to start winning again. Last one was the NPFL on Lake Winnebago. Took home the W there. What year? That was a couple years ago, Buck?
Yeah, it was 2021. So it was in the inaugural year. And yeah, it couldn't have set up better for me for the way that I actually truly like to fish.
Yeah, I didn't really get the scoop on how you won that. I saw it was pretty close. You got like 4 ounces on the second place guy. Definitely a northern lake, so a little bit more familiar probably, right?
So it as far as like the latitude and longitude lines, it almost lines up perfectly with where I live. And I kind of went there with a preconceived notion that I was going to smallmouth fish, and not that the guys that I was fishing against don't know how to smallmouth fish, but the majority of the field was from the south.
Right, yeah.
I assumed that I had a little bit of an advantage that way, and truthfully, I found out quickly that I was not going to win with smallmouth. I tried, and I pre-practiced it before the cutoff, and I fell really short, and I lucked into a largemouth pattern that I do here on the regular, and it literally panned out exactly what I needed to do. I set a goal before the tournament started that if I could catch 14 pounds a day, I would win, from research that I did with local stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I literally, I weighed like I don't know the exact numbers, but it was like 14 pounds, 5 ounces, 14.2 and 14.3, and I won by 3 ounces.
It's nice when a plan comes together.
Absolutely. Like I couldn't have planned it any closer.
Yeah. So that lake is it one of the biggest lakes in Wisconsin, isn't it?
It's one of the biggest inland lakes in the country that's not a man-made reservoir.
I was gonna say that's very well-known lake.
How big is it compared to like Lake St. Clair? Just
it's nowhere near as big as St. Clair.
No.
But
Okay.
St. Clair's a different beast, but it's still big. I mean, I would say that it's like, I think it's 15 or 20 miles tip to tip.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty big then.
Yeah. And it's like, I think it's 9 or 10 miles wide. So it's big, but it's not quite the same as St. Clair. I mean, it's similar as far as it's not super deep anywhere, really.
Yeah.
But it's totally different bottom. It's murky in areas. It's like mucky in the bottom. It's got a soft sediment bottom. It's kind of nasty, actually. Like I assumed that I would go out deep and find hard bottom out there, and it was like silted in the middle. It was crazy.
Did you weigh all largemouth, or did you weigh a mixed bag at all?
2 of the 3 days I weighed a mixed bag. So I had a little area. There's some rivers that come through in that place, and I had a couple of areas in the rivers that I could pick up a smallmouth or 2 a day.
Nice. That was probably the difference maker then, being able to key on that knowledge and fish the rivers like that.
Yeah, and so I found the river spot in pre-practice, and I caught both largemouth and smallmouth in it, but I caught like big, like for what I was thinking, 4-pound smallmouth. And so this is the interesting thing. Everybody says, you got to shake them off in practice and whatnot, when it's actually
right.
Save your fish type of deal. And when it came to official practice, for 3 full days of the official practice, I never had a hook on. But another guy found that river spot, and he came up on me on day 1 when I was catching some smallmouth in it. But it was dramatically slower than what it was in pre-practice when I was there before.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, why is it so tough? Like they were so loaded in here, and I could still see some on my forward facing, but they just weren't biting. And this guy comes up, and I don't remember who he is. I couldn't tell you his name. So it's not like throwing somebody particular under the bus, but he was like, "Are you fishing the eddy?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Dang it." And I go, "Why? Did you find it too?" He's like, "Yeah, I found it 2 days ago in practice, and I caught 40 fish."
Well, that's your answer. Why they're not biting.
I literally looked at him. I went, "Oh, that's cool, man. Sounds good." And I pulled my trolling motor and I idled away from him.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Because I really figured, he'll burn it up. And I already had like 2 or 3 keepers in the box from it. But like I said, it was slow.
Yeah.
And I went,
I'll
come back every morning. And I did every morning. I caught like 2 or 3 keepers out of it, but it was nothing like it could have been.
Yeah, no, that it sounds like if that would have happened, then it would have just been a one spot wonder. You could have sat there the whole event and probably won it.
I literally pulled up in this spot when I was pre-practicing, and I instantly saw like the current turn off of the seawall. So like I pitched a drop in it, and I caught like a 3.5 smallie first toss, and I went, "Oh, that's fun."
Nice.
And I think I caught like 7 or 8 good sized smallies. I mean, it's a month before the tournament. I don't care if I stick them at this point. And I look at the seawall, and there was like some decent sized posts, wooden posts that went down the seawall. And I went, well, those are current breaks too. And I pitched over there with a drop shot, and I caught like a 4.5 pound largemouth.
Yeah.
And I went, oh my God, so this is going to be nice, because obviously when you're talking, I'm looking at, local events, and 11 pounds and teams is winning.
Right. Wow.
And in 4 fish, I had 12.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
And I'm like, yeah, this is a good spot. And the next thing you know, I literally caught I probably caught 40 or 50 fish there in pre-practice a month before. And I was like, I'm going to wear them out until I can't catch any more. I just want to know what's here.
Yeah. That's the type of tournament you went in and you thought you were going to be able to have a chance at winning then probably.
I literally talked to my wife beforehand, like when I got back from pre-practice, and I said, if nothing else changes, and it shouldn't because it's summertime, I'm going to win this tournament.
Right.
And I mean, obviously things could change. I got really lucky. I want to say it was the second day of the tournament. It blew overnight really bad. And it's like, that place reminded me of Erie because it was shallow enough that when it blew, it would blow up big. It would get rough, even though it was not a huge place. And it was supposed to lay down, but like when we left the marina for takeoff, it was still like 3.5, 4 footers.
Jeez.
And I was fishing main lake stuff for largemouth for the majority of my weight. And when I went to the north end of the lake, the waves were literally rolling over docks. And I went, well, I can't fish that.
Sounds like me and you that one day
crazy.
in the river. You remember that?
Oh, yeah.
That was horrible.
Yeah, we ran the Miracle Mile trying to walleye fish one time, and that was just a horrible idea.
Oh, you just got your boat back, and I was like, oh, upriver will be fine, dude. Don't even worry about it. And we get out there, and I think we speared like 10 waves in the middle of March or something like that. We were freezing our asses off. It was horrible.
Yeah, we didn't
catch. It sounds miserable.
We caught no walleye, but the boat was fixed. So I'll take that as a win.
That's a win every time, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so we know you've done some pretty good things in these tournament trails recently. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself, like where you're from, and kind of what you do for a living, or if you just go fishing all the time?
So I'm 37. I'm from Southwest Michigan. I live, like, I'm sure if you guys are fishermen that are listening, you know who KVD is, Kevin Van Dam. I live like 20 minutes from Kevin Van Dam.
Nice.
And, I'm great friends with his nephew, Jonathan. I've known him literally by my whole adult life, and I stood in his wedding. Him and I fished quite a bit together when we were younger. But I actually own a construction business, and that's what I feed my family with. And I still just have enough of flexibility with my schedule to be able to professionally fish. And there's times when it gets tight and it gets like busy. I feel like I work 80 hours a week to go fish 100.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
But it's crazy. But like, I was kind of talking about this the other day with some guys, and I was like, though I'm not that guy, I'm not the 1% or the 2% that's in this fishing industry, you have to fish and love it even when it sucks, or you'll never get there.
Right.
And like, I've had times when it like, for lack of better terms, it just flat out sucked. You're exhausted. You don't have time for your family. You're beat, and you are working yourself to the death, like basically to death. And you go to bed that night looking at maps. All you can think about is setting the hook the next time.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't catch anything today. I better find a different pattern,
Yes, exactly.
I've been there too many times to count.
So, that's just what it is. I mean, I'm an everyday guy. I'm nobody special yet, and I'm hoping to maybe get there someday. I have the confidence for it. I think that I can catch them pretty decent. I've seemed to prove myself a few different times now. I just need to get consistent and then do it, enough here. Yeah. So I fished the NPFL for 2 years. I was successful both years. I won one in the NPFL. I've been tied for first throughout days of tournaments, I think 4 different times. and I've cut checks throughout the 2 seasons there. And I mean, I've never went backwards with money. So I guess we did good.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the objective.
Exactly. If you can go ahead and do this and you break zero, you did just fine.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a grind. I mean, it's expensive, especially when diesel and stuff goes up, but, I took a year and I fished the Bassmaster Opens EQs last year. And, I was so busy at work and I had actual personnel issues that I didn't have enough time to fish. Like I went through 8 of the 9 tournaments. And I think from what I did with my statistics, I finished in the top 35% of 5 of the 8 tournaments that I fished.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I still didn't do good.
I remember we talked about that last year because, obviously with me doing the invitationals, we were kind of trying to figure out like, what is the path to get to that next level? And like,
in my opinion, and I can this is the truth. I mean, I like to speak as truthful as I can. I think that Bass has a phenomenal platform, but it's very tough because there's so many guys and there's so little area to get paid. So like if you're not crawling with sponsor money or just, I don't know, hedge fund person that's got millions,
right.
You got to be able to make something back. So like the reason for me that the NPFL makes so much sense is, I mean, there's a lot of reasons, but like financially, the entry fees are way worse than what the opens are. But so there's 127 boats in my field this year. If I take like a top 40, it's $7,000.
Yeah.
In the opens, there's 225 boats. If you take a 60th, you don't get a check. That's like the top 20%, and you still don't get paid.
Yeah, I remember talking because I know, I've considered fishing the NPFL multiple different times, and I think everybody's came to about the same consensus that it's probably the best risk reward fishing the NPFL, especially now that they have the championship, and that's $100,000 payout, no entry fee.
$100,000 payout, no entry fee. You're guaranteed to get a check if you qualify.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's put they've been changing some stuff around. So like everything that I'm saying could be changed. I haven't looked at the rules lately, but last to my knowledge, you get a check for showing up just like you would the Classic.
Mm-hmm.
It's huge. Not anywhere near as big as the Classic, but you still get paid no matter what, obviously. And, it's a cool setup for that. And then, you have a chance to win $100,000 at every event with your entry fees. And I think it's like top 40% get paid or somewhere of those lines. I mean, we got 127 boats, I think is what our schedule is locked on. And I think we have 45 places getting paid.
Yeah, no, that's really good. I was happy to see that they're getting the buy-in, man. Like it's more and more people are moving that direction. I want to say there's probably at least 20 guys that I fished against last year that I think moved over there.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that did. And I mean, there's some really big names too. I mean, Kyle Welcher's in it.
Yeah, exactly.
The reigning AOI of the Elite Series decided to put his money in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and the best thing about that is that just grows the organization. Because, I mean, I can advocate for the brand. I think that the ownership of the NPFL they're phenomenal. They're super nice. They're easy to get along with. They're transparent. They're forward. They'll tell you everything that they like and don't like. I mean, you got to be able to take it. But like, if you do something that pisses somebody off, they're going to tell you. You're not going to hear about it through the bush. You're going to hear about it straight from the horse's mouth. I appreciate that. And at the same time, if you need to know anything about what's going on, they're upfront and telling you like, hey, so we're having weather delays with this, or you can expect this. Like, I don't have a tournament until the end of next week, and I already have the exact timeline of everything, any public outreach event, it's all in my email already, ready to go. They're organized, and they're doing the things to grow. They're doing the things to be professional. They're doing the things that they need to do to become a household name, and I think that they're going to be there.
Yeah, one of the things that I've always noticed was they do a lot on the off day, and they really bring the local areas into it, which it just seems like that makes the most sense in the world. I know they even they have that, like the picture of the lake that they get custom made, right? They give that back to the city after they're done. I mean, it just makes sense. And I don't see that in the level or the tour that I'm fishing, right? And it kind of stinks, but somebody's doing it at least. So, I mean, maybe I'll be joining you next year. I don't know.
I mean,
you know,
please, hey, maybe we could travel together. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not against that. You know, we can figure it out. But like, I literally was looking through the public outreach stuff because that's good for, you know, exposure, and it's good to be part of the community and do what they do and, you know, see what you can help out with. There's, as you could sign up to do on our off day, you can go to the senior center. There's like 7 things that they have to offer. I'm going to sit down tonight when my kid goes to bed, and I'm going to pick the one that I'm going to do because I want to be part of it. Right. I did every one that I could the first 2 years, and I'll do it again because it's great.
Yeah, no, it's really cool. So bass fishing, it's really cold. I know that we've been getting some pictures of ice on the lakes down south. How do you think that's going to play out? Have you ever ice fished before? Like, are we going to be able to launch the boats down there, or what's going to happen?
Oh, well, here's the thing is I mean, at least where I'm going, I've looked at the weather. It's going to be back in the 50s next week. But it's going to be definitely a whole lot different than what everybody expected.
Yeah.
I had no idea that we would be like looking at low 40-degree water temps when I go down there.
Right.
I mean, it could be better than that. I don't know, but I do know that several creek arms and I saw a picture today that would look like it was pretty Main Lake-ish, have a decent amount of ice right now.
Yeah, it's good.
And like it's interesting, right? Like I'm thinking that maybe you might want to be particularly good with like maybe that Rapella ice jig.
Yeah.
You know, or something of that line. You could do like a blade bait. You know, I've been out on Erie and caught them on like a silver buddy so bad. It's insane.
Not knowing much about like what you guys do and stuff like that. Like with this weather, you know, we had such a warm fall this year, and we had this, you know, last week of just absolutely freezing. How big of a like impact does that like put on the fish for the springtime? Like, do you think that the walleye run or like the spring bite is going to be any different with this weather like that we've been having this year? Because I mean, the last 2 winters, I mean, have been a lot warmer, I would say.
Right.
I mean, does that change like your guys' look on going out on these tournaments or like looking ahead?
I mean, I don't want to speak for both of us, but to me, I think that more than water temperature, obviously water temperature slows fish down. It can make them a little bit more lethargic, but forward-facing sonar has changed the game to where we can actually pay attention to and see what the fish do. When that water is cold, they'll still chase a bait a lot more than what people think they would. Mm-hmm. And, you know, with that technology out there, it's literally changed everybody's outlook of what these things can do. And to me, like fish moving up to spawn and stuff is, as much as water temperature matters, the moon is the biggest factor to me.
Yeah.
So as long as the seasons change with the moon phases, it's going to be fine. It's not going to change a whole lot for me unless we're like totally ice burdened.
Right.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I mean, if the days get longer, it seems to put those fish in that mode. I mean, they're not going to pull up right to the bank usually if it's still cold out, but they're going to be ready. And as soon as you get that push, so they're going to be close by. You know.
And other things like down south where where both of us are going down to, things like even when it's super cold, like a big rain can change that too. And even though like fish might not really be ready to pull up to spawn, just the fact of an influx of warmer water from the rain will pull fish tight to the bank just because it's warmer.
I gotcha. I mean, for me, you know, obviously with the river right here in our backyard, I mean, you met me, what, 6-7 years ago now, I think it's been probably?
Yeah, it's been a while.
But, I mean, so, you know, with out here, though, like, growing up, we don't really pay attention to all, like, the crazy technology or whatever.
Go jigging every day that there's not ice on the water. That was the pattern.
Pretty much. I mean, and we do pretty good at it. And even the bass fishing, I mean, we were catching bass, but we didn't have nothing crazy. We were just going out there and flipping docks and tube jigs and off of seawalls or whatever it was, and that was it. When the weeds came in, well, time to start going to the beach, I guess.
It is amazing, too. I mean, like, I think what Buck's talking about with this forward-facing sonar, like I was at Rayburn a couple weeks ago, and usually these early tournaments would be really tough if it was cold because guys are fishing shallower or they're trying to fish off points, dragging football head jigs and things like that. And now a lot of guys are offshore 40 feet, 50 feet. I mean, you literally following around gigantic balls of shad
right.
in targeting fish that are just suspended out in that middle of nowhere land that nobody really did that a whole lot. I mean, did have guys doing that, but you had maybe a couple guys doing it. Now 50% of the field's doing that. And so that's where it seems like even in these really early tournaments now, the weights, they stay up there pretty high.
Yeah, this is the best thing about this. I mean, it's a blessing and a curse, okay? At a tournament level, it's a blessing if you can figure out how to do it. It's a curse to me in the conservation part, because those fish that are out there that do that, they don't get fished for. So they're dumb. They have no idea what's going on. Like, them fish for years have been out there chasing these shad in the middle of these like deep river ends of these reservoirs and stuff, and like on these current, like, you know, channel swings and whatever, and they'll get out there on these big balls of shad and gorge, and all they do is feed and feed and feed and feed. Nobody ever messes with them because it's 40, 50, 60 feet deep and they're suspended 20 feet down.
Right.
You know, it was too unpredictable. Now with the forward facing sonar, you can literally go catch one, keep your boat like looking at the school of fish, and release it and catch the next one. And if they move, you follow them because you can watch them. So I can reference it to spotlighting. It's
crazy.
deer.
Oh, absolutely. I know that's what people have been saying. It's very similar to that.
It is. It's literally like you if you think about it, like what you don't look at with your graph is the black field, right, when it's dark. And then you turn your sonar towards it and it lights it up, and there they are. Oh, hey, there's a fish there. There's a fish there. And I mean, just like a deer, like when you see them in a field, if you were to spotlight, if they're not looking at you, so per se, you may not see them because their eyes don't light up. Whatever part of the body of the fish that actually reflects that sonar, I think it's their swim bladder more than anything, right? If it's not positioned just right, you won't see them. You can like pan past them, and all of a sudden you pan back and there's a fish there. You're like, where'd he go? You know, where'd that fish come from?
Yeah.
He was there the whole time. He just didn't present himself.
So I want to say, when we had our buddy in here, Dylan, but I think, Troy, you talked to him for a little bit one time, didn't you? My buddy Dylan, the Ohio DNR.
Yeah, I think
he's saying that, you know, social media is like so both ways in the forward-facing sonar, I believe he was talking about, and such a, you know, back and forth thing right now, or it was anyway. But
yeah,
you know,
it's controversial, right? It's 50-50, I think, right now. I mean, maybe not 50-50. I think that there's a lot of people that dislike it. There's a lot of people that like it. Right. But the biggest thing is, and this is the reality of everything, is this is an industry with money, and everything to do with like sales of any type of brand is what drives everything to go. And when these companies are making multiple millions of dollars a year selling these things, they're not going anywhere.
Right.
There's no, I mean, it makes me chuckle because I was literally just having this conversation with a buddy the other day. They outlawed in our professional tournament stuff, don't matter what organization you're in, you can't run an Alabama rig unless it's like the DFLs.
I've heard that one before.
A bait that looks like a ball of shad, shad.
Yeah,
literally, they outlawed it because it's so good, like 2 months out of the year. But like, they are letting you run a sonar that lets you spot a fish at 100 feet and pick it off with a net head.
I mean, that's basically going right back to the deer hunting as well, though. You can't bait, but like, to try not to keep those deer out of the same location, but at the same time, those deer are like always together, always eating off the same stuff. It's like, some of these rules that people make, it's like, what are you guys even thinking right now? You know, like tonight we're going coyote hunting, and, you know, we could shoot rifles at coyotes below there's a walkie, but you can't shoot deer with rifles besides like the 450 and stuff. And whatever else. You can't shoot deer with rifles down here, but above it you can, which is weird because, like, I don't know. There's just so many different things that are like,
the whole 450 thing doesn't really make sense to me either. Isn't it essentially a rifle? I mean, it still
it's close
shoots.
enough.
Yeah,
it can still shoot like 300, 400 yards.
I believe so. I don't mark my words on it, but yeah, it's.
I thought that was the point, though, is they just wouldn't want people to be able to reach out that far.
Well, I think it's a population thing, but like I said, you could shoot a coyote with a 30-06 down here while you're sitting on the ground, but you can't shoot a deer while you're sitting in a tree with a 30-06. So it's like, I don't know.
Buck, do you do much hunting?
So I used to be very, very avid in deer hunting and turkey hunting both. But now that I've gotten as busy as I have with fishing, I have a really hard time taking the time off. But 2 years ago, I went to Saskatchewan with the Van Dams, and I harvested a nice whitetail. It was a beautiful buck. But I used to be a trophy hunter. I've got a dozen on the wall, but I haven't killed a deer in Michigan in like 4 years now.
So we just got back into deer hunting this year, and the corn stayed up all year, which, obviously it's good. It keeps the deer around you, but we were just hunting field edges, and we couldn't hunt much of the woods. So once those deer get pressure, they just never even leave the corn. The day they cut the corn after season, there's 10, 15 deer sitting right in front of my tree stand. It's just one of those things. We had some really nice deer out there. And so did Trav, my buddy that runs the company with me. He's out in Kalamazoo as well. And same thing with him. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's a very frustrating thing, and that's why I like to stick into waterfowl and turkey hunting.
Yep. Yeah. Waterfowl actually used to be a big thing that I did too. I need to get back into that because I loved decoying birds. It was so awesome to watch them work.
Well, when you ever get some free time, because it kind of leads into my next question, when you ever get free time, more than welcome to come out and hunt with us whenever.
That'd be awesome.
But
I love shooting ducks and geese. It's amazing.
Oh, it's me and Troy have been talking about it for a while yet, but we can't find the schedule to do it.
I live in the best area to do it, but I feel like it's also the best smallmouth fishery. And it's like the decision, where do I go? Do I go out to Erie and try to catch a 28-pound bag, or do I go do that? So
I think you can catch a 28-pound bag on Erie in April and May. I'd go out duck hunting if I was you.
Yeah, that's probably true.
You hear that? But no, I guess my next question though was like having a full-time job and then doing the fishing, like, I'd say almost full-time basically as well. How do you like just balance everything out that way? It's got to be such a.
There's no balance.
I was gonna say, there's no free time for yourself. It sounds like,
It's literally like, so, I'm not going to come saying this. It may sound like I am, but I promise I'm not. Because I'm blessed to be able to take, in reality, it's 10 weeks of vacation, technically. Like, we're working. Troy will testify to this. When you're fishing on the road, you're working.
Oh, absolutely.
But
I get that.
But I'm not building barns. So
Right.
it's a vacation too.
Yeah.
I really, really, I'm passionate about fishing. So it's not like, I can't really call it work. I have a hard time saying that. Like, I've worked my fingers to the bone doing it.
Right.
But I don't feel like it's a job because it's not like it's something that I dread doing every day. Right. I can go fish tournaments, 10, 11 of them in a row. And I'm not like, man, I can't wait till this is over. But like, as much as I love the deer hunt, by the time December 30th is around, I'm like, man, I'm glad to hang up my tree stand for the year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's totally different, right? I feel like it's crazier than a hobby, but it's like a passion. But with that being said, like 10 weeks off, I'm fishing, I try to fish as much as I can in between to stay fluid, but like, I try the best that I can when I'm not busy building stuff to spend time with my family, but it's still very offset. It's tough.
Oh, it's me every day. I'm on the road scouting for birds or whatever it may be, because we just mainly field hunt. We don't we'll hunt over sheet water or whatever it may be, but it stinks because like you're doing it because you love it, and like you said, it's like it's a job, but it's not a job. You love doing it. And to try to balance everything out, like your home life and friends and family and whatever else, just it's so tough to do.
Yeah. There's a lot of people I think that look at probably what Buck and I do, and they're like, yeah, these guys are just out there having the time of their life.
Right.
And they don't, a lot of guys don't understand how much work you even had to put into it to get to where you are, to 100%. Be even competitive. It's really not as easy as it might look, because on TV, when you're catching them, yeah, when we're catching them, we went out one time to the Detroit River and caught like 100 in a row.
It was stupid.
It's easy when they're biting, man, but all the other guys that aren't on the camera that are just grinding, man.
Right.
And that's where you're at most of the time. And it's just the sacrifices too, like you said, Buck. You're missing a lot of things. You just got to put it all out there though, because if you don't put the time in, somebody else is going to do it.
And that's just like with our bird hunting and stuff. Like, I'm checking the wind like a week before, trying to see like any north winds or where the north winds is like stopping or like, whatever it may be, moon phases, everything, or checking maps on like at 10 o'clock at night when I probably should be sleeping and catching up on some sleep. Like it's a constant thing that just never stops. And then, like you just said, people just think you just magically jump out into a field and shoot a bunch of birds. It's like, you got to see what's behind the big picture here.
Yeah.
Yep. And just like everything else in life. So I don't care if you're a professional hunter, a professional fisherman, if you're an avid waterfowler, or a multi-million-dollar business owner of any type, everybody from a different perspective can go, must be nice.
Right.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know how many times I've heard, you're going to Alabama? Must be nice.
Yeah.
Well,
you're going to Florida? Must be nice.
What's that?
I'm like, yeah, it is. But
it is nice. Florida is definitely a lot nicer when it's like January tournament. I'll give you them that one.
Unless you get a cold front, then it sucks.
That's true. You won't not catch anything, but it'll still be like 60 anyway.
I think that's what Dana White just said. He, like the other day on a podcast, he's like, all these people want to say, I wish I was my own boss. And it's like, no, you don't, dude. Like you would hate this to do this, like, and be your own boss and everything. Like it
is true.
Sucks.
Yeah. A lot of people aren't cut out for it.
No.
Well, I think if people really, when they get a chance to see what it really takes to do it, it's totally different. And like, think about this. Like, so, I have a daughter, she's 15 months old, and I'm going next week to this tournament, first one of the year, to do this and be like on the map. Like the big things you want to do. You want to win, you want to be competitive, cutting checks, and you want to stay in the Angler of the Year points race. And I have my wife that's like 8 months pregnant, and I'm going on the road, and I'm like, I'm going to be eyes on flights just in case, because if something goes down, I'm flying home.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You got to do what you got to do. I don't like, in my mind, I'm going, God, it stinks because I don't want to like end up last in points. You can't come back. Like, you're going to fish the rest of the season, but you'll never rally to the top 5 if you're starting the season last.
You're out of the championship right off the bat.
Right. And, so that's like all the stuff that you're working for, you got to like slap it down. You're like, family comes first. You got to do it. Now, like, she's not technically on paper due till well after I'm back, but you just never know. Mm-hmm. It's close enough to where I'm like, hey, this is interesting. And like, I'm not trying to say, let's have this kid next week before I leave. But at the same time, man, maybe we can have this kid next week before I leave.
Right.
But, it just is what it is. And you just got to do what you got to do. And it's part of those sacrifices, things that can go both ways, right? Sometimes, like, if that were to have happened and we had the kid before I left, I might miss a day of practice. It'd be a sacrifice, but I would do it. Just like if I could be on the winning bag of fish, but if my wife called me on the 3rd day and said, I'm going into labor, you need to get on a plane, I'd be like, gotta let him go. Or I call the director and say, hey, I got 14 pounds in the box right now. Let me weigh it in.
Right. Yeah.
I gotta go. I gotta get on a plane, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just is what it is. And that's a conversation that I'm going to be having with the organization when I get down there. I'm going to let them know I might need a day where I have to weigh in early. I just don't know.
Right.
And because they are who they are and they're a family organization, they'll understand.
Right. That's what I was going to ask. It seems like they probably would do that.
I know the director personally too. Sean would be like, Buck, do it. Get up there and get on stage. Do it. I don't care. And it would be not a normal thing, obviously, but I think that they would have absolutely zero problem with it. So, that's going to be conversations that I have to have next week, just because not saying it's going to happen, not saying I want it to happen, but if it did, that'd be what I have to do.
Right.
I might not even walk them across the stage. I might just go, here's the bag. Tell me whatever they weigh. I got to go. So it is what it is. It's life. Everybody has sacrifices to make, and everybody's sacrifices look a little different.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of the viewers on this, they might be thinking, all right, well, these guys know how to catch bass, but do they know how to ice fish? So I'm just wondering, Buck, when's the last time you were on the ice?
Well, we haven't had ice here in 2 years that was worth fishing on, unless I was out of town, unfortunately.
It's very true.
On my side of the state last year, we had no ice until I went to my first tournament.
Yeah.
And I had friends like posting they're catching these big crappies and stuff. I'm like, there's ice?
But I don't even think we had ice over here last year.
I'm not an avid ice fisherman. I'm too antsy. I like to run and gun with my boat, but I will tell you that it is not a bad time to go catch some bluegills and some perch and stuff through the ice, and that's a dang good dinner.
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't complain when I get a chance to go. But I really wish that maybe I had some more time to do it, because if we had more ice, I would go.
Yeah.
I used to ice fish when I was a kid a lot before I got into becoming a business owner and then traveling the country like a lunatic trying to catch fish. I used to ice fish a lot, and now it's like, yeah, I got a flasher here and I got a couple rods and I got a battery powered auger. If I get a chance, I'm going to go, but I'm not chasing it. Like if I can choose getting in my boat or going out and sitting a shanty, I'm going on my boat.
Yeah.
Right. Ice fishing's the original live scope.
It is too.
It's like nobody really realized that that's what they've been doing forever. They're just straight under the hole, though. You get your flasher out, and it's like, oh, there it is. Drop it right on its head.
Yep. And you could watch them. You put your bait like 3 feet above their head, and you shake it, and they come up.
Exactly.
You shake it a little higher, and they chase it up. Next thing you know, you get one. You're like, there he is.
It's literally the exact same thing.
We're gonna try it next year. I think go to northern Minnesota and like rent out one of those cabins on the ice. I think that would be just a sweet trip to even just try. I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if either of you done it, but like catching walleye through the ice, I've never done it, but I think that'd be such a fun time.
I have on the Saginaw River, and that's kind of the same deal, right? Like it doesn't get cold enough now, it seems like, to hardly get out there.
Yeah, pretty much.
But way up north, are you going to get one of those deals where they literally drive out and it's like a house almost on the water?
Yeah, you basically stay in the same thing, and they have bars and go eat out there on the ice, and you could fish right out of the bar and I don't know.
That's insane
to do.
I would go as long as there's no conflicts. I would go out there. That would be fun.
I think it'd be a blast to do that.
Those guys catch a ton of fish too.
Seems like it.
They're serious ice fishermen up there,
Yeah, it's almost like what's that lake out in Canada? Simcoe.
Yeah, Simcoe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Simcoe.
Yeah, that seems like it would be a blast to go out there as well.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. Well, Buck, you've been a really good participant with us today. Do you have any sponsors to shout out? I know we're both on Team Montcalm Marine, but you've got quite the list on your boat, I think.
So yeah, I do. I mean, I would have to be a liar if I could do this without sponsors. I mean, Montcalm Marine's amazing. They've been very good to me. They've always done what they can, and I feel like family every time I'm there. So like Mitch, I don't know if you're going to catch this or not, but between you and Garrett over there, I can't thank you guys enough. On top of that, though, I mean, Arc Rods, I do all their rods and reels. So the Gravity Series reels are amazing, both spin cast and casting. I mean, they have several lines of them. I run the G5. It's like I guess the thing I could compare it to the most is like a Shimano Chronarch. It's amazing, especially for the price point. If you're out buying them retail, they're fantastic. And then I run all their tungsten and hard baits too, and Power Pole, Powerhouse lithium batteries.
Oh yeah.
And I can't thank them enough. I mean, Sublime outerwear, fantastic. Buck and Bass, best rain suit on the planet. And on top of that, they've got the Orville jackets and the Fremont hoodies. I mean, I can't tell you how excited I am to go down where it's cold, where I've got stuff that's totally windproof that would be like comparison of snowmobile gear that weighs like 10 ounces.
That's amazing.
So if you guys ever want to know more about Buck and Bass out, like the rain suits and anything they have, feel free to give me a call and look them up on their website too. They have all the information there, but I would do a whole podcast on them. I know the owner very well. He's out of Nevada. He comes and stays at my house and sells to the stores locally here. He's retailed out of, or mostly on the internet, but like he actually, some of his suits are at Montcalm Marine right now.
Oh, wow.
And so like, I would do anything for them. That guy right there would, the first day he launched his product, he had me on his banner and never once had a question about whether I was going to stay.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Whether I'm catching them or not, we're on. And him and I were just talking about it the other day, and he said, literally, I will quote, "I've looked at the weather. It looks like it's going to be cold. You have the best gear on the planet, and you're built different because you're from up north. You've got this."
He's not wrong.
I said, "Thumbs up, brother. You're on." And
that's awesome.
So it is what it is. But Yeah, man. I mean, without them guys, I couldn't do what I do, and I appreciate them. And yeah, I hate to rush off this at all here, but I appreciate you guys having me on, and I would come back anytime.
Yeah, no, we really appreciate you coming on and spending the time, and for me getting to know you. Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have to get together sometime this year, do some fishing, get back out on the podcast in person, and do round 2.
Yeah,
let's do it. Yeah, I'd love to get out on like Detroit River, St. Clair area, Erie, and go smack on some smallies together.
Troy might just have to blindfold you while we're driving out there.
I've been all those areas. I know where I'm going.
Yeah, he might need to take me to some spots. I don't know. He won that St. Clair tournament. I might need some help there.
I'll put you right where I was at.
Well, Buck, we really appreciate it. And yeah, like Troy said, we'll have to get together and do some fishing on this side of the state.
Absolutely.
Yes. Sounds good. And I'll save your number too. So feel free to give me a call anytime.
Okay. I really appreciate that.
Safe travels, Buck.
Yep. Thank you. You too. And good luck down there.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see you.